Ethereum is on a hunt for leading out the next rally today. We'll break it down for you. We've got a special trader for you. You don't want to miss it. Let's get started. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is BTCC. This is where you guys can start your trading journey. And there's a lot of things you can do over there on BTCC, whether it's copy trading, spot, you name it, as well as leverage. All that available within the platform. Get a 10% bonus on your first time deposit within that. If you go into all the exclusive benefits as well, you guys can unlock a ton, including some extra bonuses. You can get 40% lower trading fees, all sorts of cool things just by using our link down below. And this is a place where you guys can start to play longs and shorts. And right now, as the market is moving like it is, perfect time to do some of those things. Let's go over, and of course, I want to bring in Tim Warren. You guys know him from the Tim Warren Trades channel. But if you guys aren't subscribed, jump over to Tim's channel right there. Brewing in on 60,000 plus subscribers, 1,500 videos you're cracking out there, Tim. So fantastic job you're doing there, man. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Unbelievable work. Keep it up. Let's get into a few things right here. Hello. We have something that has just shown up on the ETH chain, and that is called Fusaka. It is now securely scaling. So we have another win for Ethereum, 2 major upgrades, 1 year. What do you make of this?
I mean, it's a great thing fundamentally. We continue as analysts to kind of talk about this. The charts, you guys know I'm a chart guy. The charts are not necessarily telling the full story of what's going on in crypto. If you're just a chart guy, you think this whole year has sucked all the way around. Fundamentally, it's so hard to be bearish right now. If you don't look at charts and you just pay attention to news, you're thinking, I got to buy all this crypto I can. Hopefully that changes the charts here soon.
Yeah, we got Matt Hogan talking about it. Ethereum delivering 2 major upgrades 1 year. Very impressive, shipping fast, improving throughput. UX is coming up. We've got all sorts of value capture coming into the ecosystem. If you look at the ETH chart, because we're starting to make a move here right now, let's take a look at the ETH Bitcoin. Give me that trade analysis. What do you think we should be looking at going on with ETH?
Yeah, we'll start there. We'll start with ETH over Bitcoin, which of course here is starting to make a little push again. You know, we got a ways to go before getting back up to the highs we had earlier this year at 0.043 or so. But it's really good. You don't want to over talk about this move right here, breaking above a level of resistance that we had back here on November 10th. This is the highest we've been since back here on November 3rd. So over a month ago at this point. There's a little bit of volatility coming in today, but it does look right now like Ethereum is starting to steal some movements back from Bitcoin. You can see on our oscillator that we like to use, a bullish divergence has been in play. We have a bullish buy signal in play. Things are trending to the upside, and because of that, you're continuing to watch this chart right here, Bitcoin dominance. Yes, it had a little bit of a rally here the last couple of days, but overall continuing a downward trend, which kind of says right now, altcoins look like they want to start making some moves over Bitcoin. And I think Bitcoin still has a little bit to go up here. So could altcoins have a really big special day over the next little bit? Let's take a look at the Ethereum price action itself. I've been telling my audience, Paul, keep an eye right now. We had a daily buy signal that came in. We looked at that misdirection move. We bought in right here. I'm keeping my eyes right now on 2 different levels of resistance and along that we're trading. The first one, a big order block coming in here right along with a former support level of downward trending support. That's going to be a level to watch just above 3,300. Watch 3,300 be at least a temporary level of resistance. If we break through, and I think we will, let's say Bitcoin goes up to like 103, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later in the video. The next order block and next level of resistance I'd keep an eye on is sitting just south of $3,900. Those 2 levels of resistance should be pretty key. I guarantee there's already some sell signals there. The question's going to be, do the bulls hesitate and then push through, or do you see a small retracement right here, maybe a higher low put in, then we make our way towards the higher level? That's the question at this point. But right now, you look at a lot of daily charts, you look at a lot of volume, things are bullish in the short term right now. Does that mean the bottom is in? I'm not ready to confess that yet. I'm not ready to guarantee the bottom is in just yet. I think it's close. I think it could be in, but I'm enjoying longing right now because there are some big moves coming still in the next couple of weeks.
This would be, well, it's going to be very important in terms of this rejection if we do get that rejection off that, that range of around 38. But If we hit, what do you think the probability is right now for it possibly coming back down into the 3K zone? This was from Ted. He was kind of talking about, around the 3K zone.
Yeah, so now you're going to get into maybe a little bit shorter time frame than even what I was talking about. So I see this X account right here, this tweet right here. I think there's a short-term zone we could go 3,000. What I would say is, when I just said a second ago, I'm not quite certain the bottom's in just yet. There is a very real chance that we could see crypto give one more good manipulated swing to the downside to shake out retail investors. I don't think it goes a whole lot lower if we do that. Again, the key word there is if, but anyone who's sitting here saying, when the bottom's not in, I don't think 2,500 is off the table for Ethereum. In the short term, here's what I'll show you on the short term, because I was kind of more talking about the next couple of weeks. If you want to talk about the next day or two, right now the 4-hour chart, didn't mean to draw right there. The 4-hour chart did hit its own level of resistance right here. See that order block that came in right here at 32.32. And if you look at the oscillators right now, I always love to take these as short-term short position. So this would be a scalp position right here. Red reversals will come in. There's a gray dot, and you can see the money flow right there is curving over. So you have the three things that I look for to enter shorts. This is only a 4-hour chart, right? So I'm not necessarily looking at this and saying, man, we're going to get destroyed to the downside. This tells me an area to keep an eye on in the next, let's say 48 hours, because this is the 4-hour chart. 3,000 is the nice order block right there, a nice higher low from where we just were. We could, and I'm not guaranteeing we get this low, we could make a move back to that level, get a bounce, and then make our way up there towards that 3,300 I talked about earlier.
All right, I want to go to a clip because this will break down what could be happening, because there's a couple of analysts out there that are kind of pushing to some potential rally scenarios. Let me play this for you and then get your opinion. Take a look.
This is an elf rally right now, on the way to a Santa Claus type of rally. Why is that the case? Obviously, tailwinds coming in the first quarter of next year. Really, between February and April, you might see some good tax refunds, fiscal bill relief on the consumer side. Consumers are already resilient. Boomers are spending. They're the biggest growth area, masking over some weakness in some other areas. But then you get the actual corporate tax relief as well. Tax, probably not the right word, but just in terms of fiscal bill relief, you get a couple of tailwinds. CapEx still moving forward. But the critical point is when have we seen the Federal Reserve cut rates into a growing momentum economy? Been a long time. We know why. But at the end of the day, the third mandate, which is price stability, arguably speaking, asset price stability, is alive and well. And that gives us a very good comfort level for 26 being a proud bull, Mike, versus a stampeding bull.
All right, so proud bull versus stampeding. I'm assuming that they're talking about the S&P. Obviously, we might get a stampeding bull maybe in 2026. Right. And instead of the proud bull that we kind of had this year, depending on where you bought. But what do you think about that? Do you think 26 is still on the table in terms of a positive year for crypto?
I am bullish long term. I'm bullish in 2026. But you heard me say earlier, I'm not convinced yet that the bottom is in.
Right.
I love the rally we've had over the last couple of days. I think it's very good. However, when you go back and you look at things like in 2022, even go back and look at 2019 when we had quantitative tightening ending with rates being cut, that didn't guarantee the bottom of Bitcoin and crypto was in. Why? Because manipulation is still a part of the game. These large individuals that are coming into the space, we're seeing headlines of Fidelity. We're seeing headlines of Goldman Sachs and BlackRock and others talking about glowingly how much they love cryptocurrency right now, and they're telling people to go get in on it. I think the bottom's close, but I don't know about you, Paul, I always have this slight tinge when I hear these large banking industries get so bullish with their opinions. To me, that almost screams, you got a trick up your sleeve. You're not telling me the whole story. And that's what's keeping me from saying the bottom is in right now. So the charts look good. The news looks good. But to me, it's almost too good. And it kind of says maybe the bottom needs one more good swing before we're ready to bottom out.
I like the thesis on it. You know, again, this goes back to just all the positive things that are going on in the market. Biggest tech boom since the internet. Ongoing Fed rate cuts. You know, we're dealing with Trump's impending new chair announcement, which we already know, $700 billion in terms of innovation around CapEx, this is all flowing into the AI side of things, which I still think plays into crypto in general. The most market-conscious U.S. president ever, I would agree with that. And then now you've got $2+ trillion in annual deficit spending. That's the problem I think that we have to look at. We are in a position right now where, to your point, there's a lot of good news, there's a lot of good direction, but execution is really the tail of the tape. We need regulation in January, which is going to be coming through the market structure bill and the Clarity Act, so that changes things.
The question at the end, what is the bear case? The bear case is all of these large institutions have a lot of money and a lot of power and a lot of control. Swing the price one more time, get rid of the retail investors so they can get that really cheap asset because they know it's going to be bullish in 2026. They're more patient than retail. It's not an issue of bear case meaning full-blown bear market. It's a bear case saying if you think that they can't, you are already wrong. They absolutely can. And when they can, now the question starts to be asked, why wouldn't they? And that's where I kind of run into a problem saying bottom is in.
What do you make of this right here? Bitcoin moving, and it's moving out of MicroStrategy and onto Fidelity. That's $1 billion there, Tim. Look at all those transactions.
Yeah, you told me about this right before we went live, so I need to do more digging and looking into some of the details that could go on here, because that could mean a plethora of things. I don't really want to jump the gun and say overwhelmingly, that's really good, or, oh, that's really bad. What are they doing? What are they partnering with Fidelity? They're not moving it to an exchange to liquidate it. Why are they moving $1 billion of Bitcoin to Fidelity? Again, there's a plethora of reasons and things that could happen with that. So I'm not going to overreact to it just yet. Maybe someone in chat is an expert on it, and they'll let us know in the comments section.
Let me know in the comments what you guys think is happening here. But in the meantime, let's take a look at MicroStrategy, because it has been on the fence of continued depletion as a stock. Yeah, is this maybe a reversal for MicroStrategy if you look at the chart?
Yeah, well, so with one of the things that we thought was very interesting, they're obviously going to be very tied to Bitcoin. They're going to be a leverage play on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's doing well, MicroStrategy is probably doing well, and if Bitcoin's doing bad, it's doing very bad as well. It's had a nice little couple of days here, moving back to the upside. One of the biggest things with this big day that they bottomed out was the news that they're going to start holding. I think I can't remember the exact number of billions, but they're going to start holding a little bit of dollars. Like they're going to have a dollar reserve. So that maybe instilled a little bit of confidence there. Let's not look at this chart and try to rejoice about anything just yet, right? This is not a very good looking chart, but it is one that has buy signals kind of flooding in here on longer term timeframes. It is one that, yes, we dipped a little bit below it, but we knew even back up here, we told our audience this zone of former resistance would be very interesting here around 180. We, of course, wicked all the way down to 156. Maybe that was more of an overreaction, but we're working at kind of recapturing and taking this zone back on MicroStrategy overall. Some zones of resistance I'm keeping an eye on, because we did, I actually don't myself own MicroStrategy, but we talk with our team. Some members of our team do go stock route. We told them, hey, longing this, looking at short-term 216, maybe a longer term, if Bitcoin can make its way back up to 103, give or take 247 could be very interesting where that order block is sitting. But again, everything is showing on the charts right now. Look at that MACD, just how low it is. I was going to say, I want to make sure we've never been that low on the MACD. Very, very oversold, extremely oversold. So what does this do? Guess what? You talk about manipulation all the time. JP Morgan and all their friends allegedly short. I guess we aren't sure they did it. They talk negatively about it. They dump it. They arguably have shorted it. But then you look at this massive oversold signal, the amount of fear that was coming out of the stories, not a single retail investor, and there will be some that are brave, not majority of retail investors want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. We're worried now MicroStrategy could go bankrupt. I think there was a lot of big wealth funds that purchased in right in this area. Why?
Interesting.
They're just looking at these charts and they're screaming oversold. I'm not saying MicroStrategy is going to hit a new all-time high next month. I'm saying the opportunity for a massive rebound. The harder you fall, the higher you bounce. MicroStrategy fell very, very hard. And
all right. Well, so to your point, I think you're hitting on something, because Matt Hogan did a whole blog post on this, and his statement was no Virginia. Obviously, we know the theme here, but Strategy is not going to sell its Bitcoin. The big case that he's getting into is whether or not it's going to get removed from the MSCI. And then, of course, will it be forced, to sell just because of the NAV and what that plays out into? The fact that they're holding dollars, remember, they're starting to generate a lot of different assets and instruments to drive even more value into dividends coming in from, I think it was Strike that they were paying almost 10% on dividends monthly.
Yeah.
So that in itself needs a generation of income to be able to hold up to that. But he did a good job, I think, breaking this down around whether or not it's going to get removed, still up in the air. That could put a little pressure on it, but it could be back to the point that you were talking about, and that is if Bitcoin does well, MicroStrategy is going to typically go up. And it may be one of those stocks that you just buy when the narrative, like Coinbase, like a Robinhood, when certain narratives play out. And one of the things that could help, I think, all of these is, of course, what's going on with Clarity hopefully in January when we see a true Clarity Act roll into it. I want to play a clip for you because this goes back to that point right there of whether or not we got another bull run in terms of a reset. Take a look at this.
As the 4-year cycle is now definitively likely over, what's going to happen is the emergence of a new 2-year cycle or a 2 to 3 year cycle. And that 2 to 3 year cycle will be based on exactly what you said, institutional behavior on profit taking. It's not just where the Bitcoin price is that matters, but how seasoned that holding period has been for that particular investor over a period of time. Meaning if Bitcoin doesn't move at all in the first year, then the bogey to earn 30% over a 2-year period means now Bitcoin has to go up more than 60% in the next year for the investment to have been worthwhile. So now there's a path dependency that's happening, not just depending on the price, but the holding period. And this calculus is actually what drives a lot of fund managers' behavior. If you think about the classic pattern of year end as an important data point and why we have a Santa Claus rally in January, it's because those are fund manager behaviors. The narrow definition of QE was just expansion of the Fed's balance sheet, but now people have become more targeted about QE meaning something a little bit more than just that. And so, yeah, I think QT ending alongside having the standing repo facility in place is a totally new regime. And that means you're basically muting the possibility of there ever being like a financial crisis. You're muting price discovery and liquidity discovery. It is essentially now the lender of continuous resort. Like something will break differently and it will have to break, I think, much more astronomically. And in that sense, it doesn't surprise me that the equity market will continue to go up.
But I loved what he said there, Paul, because he talked about it's going to keep going up. It'll still be higher highs and higher lows. Go look at the gold chart. Go look at the S&P 500. Go look at the stock market. Even their bear markets, they might have prolonged periods of time where the price is not hitting a new all-time high, but it doesn't pull back very far. We are going to see a lot more time periods of small Bitcoin pullbacks followed by decent, but not like we expected before bull runs. Even the altcoin space. I think the days of 1 year seeing an altcoin go from 10 billion to $300 billion in market cap, like we saw in 2021 and 2017, stuff like that. That's not going to happen again.
Yeah, for sure. I want to flip over to Solana because we're going to get Solana in here. Sui will also touch on Chainlink a little bit. Anthony Scaramucci says that Solana could be one of the biggest winners out there. Let me play this clip for you, and then we're going to chart it for everybody. Take a look.
You'll be able to put a smart contract or a security, formerly known as a security, and tokenize it, and you'll be able to use the Rails system of the blockchain. I think Solana will be one of the big winners. It's not to say that the others are not also going to win. I believe they can cohabitate with each other, and the analogy I would use for people at home is a little bit like the cloud. When we started using cloud computing about 20 years ago, people were reluctant to use it, and then they understood there was great safety and anonymity in the storage, and then it proliferated, and you have many cloud vendors, and I think that's going to be the case in this world of tokenization. But this particular token has very unique properties. It's very cheap to use.
Very cheap.
It's incredibly
Fractions
fast.
of a cent.
All right, so he's over there just Solana bulling it up, right?
Yeah.
Right there. Remember, he has a fund on Avalanche. We had him on the show just the other day. They were talking, and it was in reference to what was happening in the AVAX ecosystem. And yet he's out there continuing to kind of promote, I won't say promote, but just really get behind Solana. What do you make of the chart right now on Solana? Is this a good place to buy or not?
It was a better place the other day, but when you look at more macro perspectives, yeah, it's a good place to buy, and I'll give a big reason why. You right now are down from all-time highs on Solana. You are still down 51%, right? So there are people that bought way up there. You're in a much better spot than they are. This is one right here. I'll focus mostly on the daily and weekly. Again, I said earlier, the 4-hour chart, I think a pullback could happen. Could we get a pullback back down towards 138-ish or maybe a little lower? I'm not looking at the support at the moment. We could, but in the macro perspective, the daily buy signals, they came in. I told our group the other day in our longs, what we're watching right now is a swing move back up here towards 155-ish to 183. Those two order block levels are going to be very important. Now, a bigger detail that's coming in here, you can see we have a W pattern kind of playing out right now. And if we can cleanly break through, we almost had a nice breakthrough here. We are failing on today's daily candle, but if we can get a clean breakthrough on that one, this right here alone could also be a big reason that you see certain traders traded up to with resistance back to this resistance level around 171. So split between those two order blocks I just showed you. This is where things will get more interesting, though, is when the weekly chart turns back bullish. If you go back and look at a lot of different coins, not just Solana, but others, weekly buy signals on this indicator have been historically very, very good. You can see one right in here that came in back in April. You can see a big one back in here. If I can go back here, a big one that came back in here, October of 23. That was a very good one. That we really never had a defined one in all of 2024. So I can't really show you the best place in there, but clearly you can see Solana didn't have a lot going for it. Right now, Solana's weekly chart has been giving us a lot of weekly reversals. The money flow is still negative, and it will be a lagging indicator. The money flow will turn positive after the confirmed bottom, but the oscillator is getting very close to giving us a green dot of bullish momentum. And then after that, the money flow will flip. Again, historically, you look at these buy signals, they have been major rallies here for multiple months at least for Solana. And you follow that with the liquidity coming back in. This is what leads me still to believe. I'm not telling you the bottom's in. I'm not saying we can't have a manipulated swing lower here, closer towards 100. But I think when that weekly buy signal goes, to think that a new all-time high at least is coming, then we're going to probably start talking about 400 to 500 range before the next major resistance level, according to charts. I'm bullish on Solana right now. It is one of the coins that I've been focused on. I have a plethora of coins in my portfolio, but I like to focus on a couple at a time. Solana is one of about 4 or 5 coins right now that I'm telling people, hey, I think something big is coming. I'd be loading up right now.
Well, you've got Breakpoint coming up here in just a few weeks. That, of course, in itself, that's for those of you brand new, it's basically Solana's Super Bowl. There's going to be announcements. There'll be partnerships, all sorts of things. You'll probably get a little bit of run-up prior to it. Sometimes it's a sell the news kind of thing. But that is another factor that plays into, especially around things like Solana. SWI is making moves right here. They got an approval right here, first ever 2x leverage SWI ETFs now available live on NASDAQ. This is coming via 21 shares. So another big move for SWI network. When you look, and this we've kind of been back and forth on SWI. It's been one of the aggressive movers over the last week.
Yeah.
Where are you right now on SWI? Do you like it or you don't like it as a trade? Would you short this or long it right now?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be looking, if you were scalping, you might have an argument for a short, but if you're looking at a longer term movement, if you're a swing trader saying, I want to start buying and holding for a couple of months, I would move in the direction of longing this one with some buy signals, probably, again, having one just in case, a little bit lower than the bottoms we have here, just to be safe, I think is smart. Here's what I'll say though. Oh, that actually is a little indication. We probably need a little bit of a pullback here on SWI when you see that big volume right there. And it's a small candle. That is a sign that people took some profit right there. But in a nutshell, we're looking at the same things with the others. That big buy signal came in here. Again, it's going to move very similarly to Bitcoin. So I'm kind of sitting here watching. We did tell our audience we took actually some profit here at 179. Why? Because that was the top of a smart trail. But I'm telling my audience the next level is to watch $2 give or take, and then somewhere in the world of $2.30. $2 and $2.30. Very interesting levels. But just like Solana, keep an eye out here. This one actually, you can make the argument, is maybe a little closer to that weekly buy signal. Take a look here. Last couple of times we had weekly buy signals, April of 2025. Go back over here, July-ish. So again, that was right before. I think we had one more correction there. But we had almost perfect time right there. Right there in July to August, perfect time to buy. That weekly buy signal is about to sneak back in here.
Boom.
So I would be watching that. Ooh, look at that order block we put it on right there. I'd be watching that weekly buy signal. And if that happens, I'm not going to promise new all-time high because, again, we didn't get a new all-time high here in August. But with liquidity coming back in, I think logic would suggest that next weekly buy signal should send us to new highs up above $6, $7 in the next couple of months. Well, let's say next 6 months.
Yeah, and I think there's two things that could be happening around what I kind of consider three of the top tiers to kind of go in unison, and that is Solana, Avalanche, and SWI.
Yeah.
I won't throw Chainlink because it's a little bit of a different thing. We're going to talk about Chainlink in a second, but Solana, Avalanche, SWI, because everybody's asking those, when you look at outside of Ethereum, those are the kind of usually the next conversation points that you have.
Yeah.
SWI is an interesting place right now because Solana is probably going to take the news cycle over the next 30 days.
Yes.
Avalanche, timing-wise, should try to align somewhat with the Clarity Act, which could happen in January or February. SWI, on the other hand, doesn't necessarily have possibly, maybe they have a Wall Street play yet or an RWA play that hasn't been, really brought to light. Because if you're on news cycles and you're trying to, soak up some of that liquidity, you have to be winning the news cycle, especially in crypto. So it's going to be something to watch for sure between those three. So you guys keep a close eye. We do a lot of videos on that, so hopefully we'll get more for you. We're going to do a clip here real quick. I want to show you what Data Dash and I were talking about in terms of Chainlink, and then I want you to chart it for me. Let's go to that clip. The number 10 spot, you look at it, it's holding at about 15 billion in terms of market cap. If you look underneath that, Hype might be close. I mean, it's at, closing in on 12 billion. Chainlink is in there at almost a little over 10 billion right now. But SWI could be in there too. Which one would you say could take the number 10 coveted spot?
I was actually just looking at Chainlink today. I mean, Chainlink, if we don't see Cardano, hold through and just kind of see it coast down, I mean, I think Chainlink probably would be a good contender just in that really close-knit group there.
All right, that was just this week. He's picking Chainlink for a number 10 slot coming in. What do you agree, or that would display the coveted Cardano? Okay.
Too low. It needs to go higher.
Of course.
I'm kind of joking, but I'm also serious. Like, I think there's a couple coins in that top 10 that no disrespect towards them, they just aren't Chainlink. And Chainlink, again, it's another one that people know that I'm very bullish on Chainlink.
Tim, you kill me, man. You kill me. When we get on Chainlink, you absolutely kill me every time.
It's just another one that it's just like, hey, just for a second.
Okay,
just
I'm
for a
listening.
second, turn off the charts. Don't look at the chart and only pay attention to news headlines and fundamentals. The fact that the coin isn't currently a top 10 coin is a mini miracle, which is screaming at people, buy before it's too late. Because here's what we just got out of a conversation, Paul. We were talking about, SUI and Solana and AVAX, which one's going to do what? And then we're like, okay, well, what is this coin going to do? What is that? Is XRP going to make it? Is Ethereum? Here's what you need to know. It doesn't matter which of those coins ends up winning. Chainlink is partnered and working with all of them.
All of them.
Chainlink wins under any scenario. So how is that not going to be a top 10 coin? In fact, Paul, I'm going to go back to a prediction
13,
I made.
it easily flips cash. Come on. I mean, we're looking at number 13 right now. It's going to go there. It takes over maybe Hyperliquid.
We're talking top 10 is going to make top 10. I think we should start having a conversation when/can it go to top 5. That's where I am with Chainlink.
Wow, well that starts to get into BNB and Solana territory.
Big boy money. Big boy money up there.
Yeah, you're talking 80 billion and 125 billion. Yeah, that's big boy money. All right, well, okay, so give me the chart. Do I buy this thing right now, or do I set back and wait for the Tim trigger on Chainlink?
Right, yeah, the chart is not great on the macro, obviously, but you do see, we didn't hold it cleanly. It scared me for a little bit. We had this longer term support trend that had been in play since back in August of 24. Temporarily, we had a couple of days even close candles below it, but you can see we made a nice move here. This is one, you've seen similarities on a lot of the charts. I mean, crypto, they have their differences, but the charts are pretty similar. But there's not a lot of charts out there. I'm not going to say none. There's not a lot of charts out there that look as impressive in the last couple of days as Chainlink. It's making its big move here. Again, this is one daily buy signal. We bought it back in here during this correction. We bought more of the dip back here around $12. I told my community, hey, let's look for some levels to just safely take some profit. I have my long-term portfolio. I have my short-term portfolio. We took some profit here yesterday on this order block. I still think 17 is interesting. But here's where I'm at now with this, Paul, because when I look at like Bitcoin still falling short of where I think its first level of resistance is going to be, somewhere here around 97. You look at things like Ethereum. I think the first level is going to be somewhere here around, okay, actually getting closer to that one, but closer to 3,300. I look at Chainlink, excuse me, and I'm saying, all right, we got to the first level very fast, faster than almost any other coin. So do we actually Chainlink fire through? And as Bitcoin reaches 97, 98K, Ethereum's at 33, 3,400, do we actually see Chainlink at 17? And maybe the bigger level to look for on lower highs is closer towards $20 for Chainlink. Of course, that's all under just a daily buy signal. When you move out to the weekly, it's not here yet, but when it comes, we're very close here. When it comes, look at these levels here before. When the buy signal came back in, guess what? April, another one back in here in September of 24. You have more back in here this is July of 23. Big moves happen on these weekly buy signals. We're very, very close. This is one again. Am I saying $400 by January? No, I'm not. $400 is going to be in the next couple of years. But can we hit, I'm not saying by January, can we early Q1, early Q2 be over $50 to $60 on Chainlink? I still think that's absolutely doable.
3X on Chainlink, Q1 next year, be ready. That if he hits this one, then we're going to get a home run here for Tim.
Yeah.
Tim, this has been a good one. Thanks so much for coming in today. You guys know what to do. By the way, we should probably get Sergey back on because we've had him on a few times from Chainlink to see if there's some updates brewing, because maybe he's got something in his pocket that could steal some of that thunder for early next year. And he's always in the mix in DC. Have you noticed that? He always shows up.
He knows everybody. He's everywhere. Just like his coin, he has his hands in everyone's cookie jar. So
yeah. I like it. I like it. Tim, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Paul.
You bet. All right. You guys know what to do. Join our private group, which is the Bear Market Edge. Very easy to join. All you do is click the link down below. It's absolutely free. You get free research, insights, all sorts of cool stuff. And all you have to do is use that link. Of course, follow me on X @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on The Paul Barron Show.